everyone, I'm Princess Link, and welcome back to Metal Gear Solid 4. Act 4, Twin Sons. Let me tell you a story about a snake. He was one of the twin snakes. Sorry, there's a candy called Twin Snakes. And also, Twin Snakes, the game, is freaking hilarious. I don't care what anyone says. Twin Snakes is great. The game. I've never had the candy. No, I think that's a lie. I might have had the candy. Twin Snakes. I love Twin Snakes. I've never played it, but like, I think it's hilarious. I don't know. I downloaded a Twin Snakes. I mean, I might play it at some point. Hint, hint. Maybe I'll stream it next February 25th, I think. He was one of the twin snakes, a fragment of the whole. Some called him a shadow. Who? Like his brother, he grew up knowing nothing of his birth parents. Like his brother, he had a name few were allowed to know. I don't know what people called him before he was giving his code designation. It's Eli. Because David in the Bible had a brother named Eliab. Oh my god, no. One time I was looking up David from the Bible for like no reason. But it's like, how many sons had King David? Or how many sons had Jesse, father of King David? It was so weird. Was he the guy who he like knocked up some girl and then sent her husband off to die? Somebody did that in the Bible. I don't remember who. It might have been David. Might have been somebody else. I don't remember. He was like, oh, I love you. And then he sent her husband off to die in the war. And at some point she got pregnant. And then the baby died. The baby was stillborn because it's a punishment from God. I'm like, shut up. Shut up, dude. Why are you taking it out on the baby? Whatever. Having never called his twin brother by his birth name, he might have died not even knowing his own. Now he knew it. He went by it Metal Gear Solid 5. I don't know what that was. So I can only call him by his code name, Liquid Snake. Liquid was raised in the UK to be Solid Snake's shadow, and like Snake, the young Liquid was not aware of, or allowed to learn of, the genetic fate he carried within his DNA. No, he did. I mean, I think so. I didn't play Metal Gear. No, I did play it. I played the first 2 or 3 levels, and then gave up because, you know, because that game is insanely frustrating. One day I am going to write an essay on how Xenoblade X is what Metal Gear Solid 5 could have been. One day. They're both open world games, released in 2015. Both of them have some kind of character customization. They both have pretty much effectively a silent protagonist, despite all previous games in the series having very talkative protagonists. As I don't know about the other Xeno Saga and Xeno Gears, but main characters from Xenoblade definitely not silent. Anyway, and they both of them freaking reference Moby Dick, of all things. Like, yeah, everyone knows about, there's, in Xenoblade X, there's the White Whale, and there's a place called Ishmael Hills. And, yeah. It's like, and they both have big old robots. Big old robots. Yeah. Anyway. And, some dude, there's one character betrayed everyone else. That's not really relevant. Matt Mercy's in both of them. I'm not even kidding. He's literally in Metal Gear Solid. Technically, he was in Ground Zeroes, not Phantom Pain, but I mean, you can like bring over some of the characters from Ground Zeroes to Phantom Pain, and also they're not two different games. They're one game. They're literally one game. Okay, shut up. How did I even? Like Snake, he went into the military at a young age. Then he joined the SIS, a British foreign intelligence service known as MI6. For literally, like, 10 years, I thought it was M16. But no, it's MI6. Thanks, I hate it. Well, he proved as capable a spy as he was a soldier. Back then, the price of oil was consistent and cheap, and the precious liquid was abundant all over the globe. But the market became flooded, and Iraq saw revenues from their sale of oil, the nation's only commodity, shrink, crippling their efforts to rebuild an economy ravaged by the Iran-Iraq war. With Iran and Kuwait's history of conflict over oil fields, tensions heightened between the two states. War was clearly only a matter of time, and the nations of the world sent their intelligence agencies into action. The only country in the G7 with an existing intelligence network in the region was Great Britain, who had maintained theirs since the colonial period. Although America later came to see Iraq as an enemy, despite having supported Iraq in the Iran-Iraq war, the U.S. government had not yet been able to create an effective network in the region. Therefore, the SIS sent Liquid to infiltrate Baghdad, and there he remained as a sleeper agent. By nature of his birth in the Les Enfants Terribles project, Liquid was part Japanese and could pass as half Turkish and half Caucasian. Could he? I mean, what? That doesn't make any sense. More importantly, his language abilities were a match for his brothers. Actually superior. Liquid's fluent in 7 languages. David's only fluent in 6. I don't know how I know that. You know, just random fun facts. Yes, Eli is fluent in 7 languages. And he achieved a near fluency in Arabic. Liquid was gifted. Once inside Iraq, he quickly built connections with resistance fighters among the oppressed Kurds and Islamic fundamentalists, represented as part of Saddam's pan-Arabist agenda. With the aid of his contacts, Liquid was able to remain inside Baghdad even after the beginning of the Gulf War, amid the heavy presence of Mukhabarat, the Iraqi intelligence service agents and counter spies within the secret police forces known as the Alam. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but whatever. Liquid was productive. He uncovered the locations of Scud missile mobile launching platforms, details of mustard gas production, and the movement of Republican guide tanks. We're Republicans! Soldier! I love Backstroke of the West. Not relevant at all, but Mr. Speaker, we are for the... You too careful, he is a big... Mr. Speaker, we are for the big... Apparently I depraved. He sent reports to coalition forces who used his information to plan a number of missions. For a short time during the war, both Snake and he were in Iraq and not far apart. One an American Green Beret, and the other a spy for the British SIS. Liquid never understood how he, and so adept an agent, got captured. Inside the van, headed for the secret police's headquarters, with a canvas sack over his head, he appraised the situation from every angle. Where, he whispered to himself, where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? I lost a friend somewhere along in the bitterness, and I would have stayed up with you all night had I known how to save a life. Surely I haven't made a mistake. Did someone rat me out? Did they work backward from the list of formed installations and find a common leak? What if it just came down to this? Before the end of the Gulf War, Liquid's luck ran out. Liquid was trained to resist interrogation, but reality wasn't as easy as training. The tortures of the Alam interrogation squads were beyond imagination. There, Liquid learned how far humanity was capable of going. A man could become boundlessly cruel. Even a veiled figure, once named an enemy, would be seen as less than human. The soldiers who gleefully rubbed salt into Liquid's wounds were Muslims, but everything they did for Saddam. There's not much difference between gods and men. Given absolute freedom, humans will sink to any depth. Liquid witnessed that pitiful creature's chains made of men. Prisoner camps were designed to brainwash captives into believing themselves powerless and insignificant. Liquid abhorred all that would constrain life to no purpose but to live. After the war, he vanished. Not once did he make contact with London, nor did SIS ever attempt to find him. Maybe the situation was just too uncomfortable for the agency. You see, they had used him as bait and allowed his capture in order to secure a new informant valuable to Britain. Liquid was essentially a human sacrifice to get intelligence from a man close to Saddam. 4 years later, Liquid was rescued by the U.S. military. I don't know to where he drifted in the intervening years. From what I gather, he wandered the world, building his own international network. He never returned to Britain. Instead, he was scouted by the American forces and selected for the high-tech Special Forces unit Foxhound. By that time, Colonel Campbell had already left the unit, and when Liquid joined, he effectively became their new commander. Under his new leadership, Foxhound, once a sizable, albeit hand-selected group, was reformed as a selective ultra-elite force of a limited number of soldiers with superhuman abilities. Their ranks included Sniper Wolf, Psycho Mantis, and Decoy Octopus, and Vulcan Raven. Okay. Presumably he meant them in those 4 years he spent building his global network. Dude, where is Vulcan Raven? Racist? I'm kidding. But am I? Dude, it's kind of suspicious that you didn't include the person of color. I mean, is Sniper Wolf a person of color? I mean, she looks very white, but like, speaking of white, very white-looking people of color, Fortune's official artwork looks so white. Like, it's so weird. Like, where's your melanin, girl? Yeah, it's melanin. This skin pigment thingy. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, like, she's from the Middle East, but like, is she a person of color? She's a Kurd. I don't know what that means. But I don't know. Is she a person of color? Or is she a white Middle Eastern person? Oh wait. It's very suspicious. What I'm saying is, it's weird to leave out Vulcan Raven. Like, he's more relevant than Decoy Octopus, who's Mexican and did blackface. I mean, if you think about it, he disguised himself as a black man. Which is like, I mean, it's kind of blackface. I mean, is it though? I'm gonna say yes. Like, I believe he's a white I believe he is white, but he's from Mexico. Just, I don't know how I know that either. I don't know if Liquid found Revolver Ocelot himself or if someone else introduced them. Either way, Ocelot was seen at Liquid's side from the very beginning. Whether Liquid went to Ocelot or Ocelot approached Foxhound, the result was the same. Liquid learned of his own secret origin, why he had been born, that his father was the legendary mercenary, that the man known to all in the underworld, Solid Snake, was his brother. When he learned those truths, Liquid again felt the enmity he discovered inside the Baghdad prison camp. Anger toward his creators blossomed into a fiery rage. He revered no gods and no heroes, and had come to feel contempt toward those who did believe in something. Dude, what? But now he came face to face with the knowledge that he had been born nothing more than a mere reproduction of the genetic code of a person he'd neither revered nor respected. Idols and gods might be forgotten, but his genes were inescapable. His mind, his personality, his intellect, and his skills were all nothing more than traits inherited from his father. The prison camp was nothing compared to this realization. I'm in prison in my own body, and my genes make it a life sentence. Surely a certain element of jealousy was involved. He must have thought it idiotic that his identical feather... Again, not identical. He has blonde hair. Not identical. His figurative soulmate, trapped with the same DNA, came to be known as the legendary hero and as the man who made the impossible possible. The accolades bestowed upon his brother were absolute proof of his imprisonment. Liquid started to fight against his fate, to find freedom from despair, and to put his very life on the line. Alive! Rules of nature! And they run when the sun comes up, with their lives on the line. Alive! Hey, Vicky. To shout at the world, I am me! I am myself and no one else! I am here! And he would do it by fulfilling his father's dreams. This world locked up in war. I don't know why I keep singing. Also, side note, going back to Xenoblade X being what Metal Gear Solid 5 should have been. Also, Xenoblade X didn't get rid of beloved voice actors for no reason. Like, literally, Adam Howden and Karina Reeves did not need to be in Xenoblade X, but they were, and it's great. They're two of the voices you can have for your character. And they voiced Shulk and Fiora in the first Xenoblade. I think there's a lot of the Japanese voice actors from like the entire Xeno series. Like if I remember correctly, I think Melia's Japanese voice actor was definitely one of the voices for the PC player character. Anyway, but yeah, I mean everyone knows about David Hayter, Kiefer Sutherland thing. Fun fact, Kiefer Sutherland was at one point considered to play Robin in one of the Tim Burton Batman movies. It's just like, I don't know why that's so funny. Like, I know he was in other stuff, but literally all I know him from is Metal Gear. So like, sorry, you're just that guy who replaced David Hayter to me. Dude. I don't know how I feel about Kiefer Sutherland's voice acting. It's I don't know. didn't have enough lines to really, you know, I mean, again, he's effectively a silent protagonist for no goddamn reason. It's like if I had a nickel for every game that had a super talkative protagonist, and then suddenly the next one just, every game series that had a super talkative protagonist, and then the next one they just all of a sudden silent, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened 3 times. Like, Xenoblade X, Metal Gear Solid 5, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I mean, he would do what his father couldn't. Wait, he saw it not as inheriting his father's fate. He would do what his father couldn't, and what his brother couldn't. If he were successful, he would find liberation from his curse. That day, the earth was quiet. A world once filled with the ceaseless gunfire of manufactured revolutions found a moment of peace. All across the surface of this big blue marble we call home, wars fell silent, as if mankind's wholesale butchery against his fellow man had been nothing more than some distant lie. In Africa, in the Middle East, in Russia, and in Southeast Asia, soldiers all across the globe looked up to the skies. What happened? They must have wondered. Their weapons, along with those of their compatriots and their enemies, suddenly locked and became inoperable. The bewildered combatants fiddled with their rifles before ultimately giving up and retiring from the front lines. A few with naked guns were still able to fight, but their opponents only folded and surrendered with their arms in the air. In all the varied combat zones across the world, soldiers falling back to their bases looked up to the heavens. In some places they looked up to the blue, cloudless sky, while in others they saw countless stars, but all were filled with the same feeling, even those that had no faith. Had God, or some godlike being, descended upon earth? Had we angered him with our foolish ways? Sure, even with their guns disabled, they could have still done battle with hatchets and bayonets, even knives, but to most of the soldiers, killing another man at close range with their own hands was unimaginable. Even only a small fraction of the frontline troops in World War II ever fired at the enemy. But when their own lives were in immediate danger, people tended to avoid shooting at one another. Wait, what? Wait, even when the Vietnam War saw the development of new training methods to condition soldiers to overcome the natural resistance to shooting, but many of them suffered for it after their return home. Psychological damage threw their lives into ruin. That day, not one single fighting unit anywhere in the world attempted to fight by bludgeoning skulls or thrusting blades into hearts. All conflict had ceased. I was in the cargo bay of Nomad, concerned about Snake's condition. He had already started to recover from the mission, but half of his face was badly like Two-Face! I mean, just in the Dark Knight. Yeah, boy, Harvey Dent. I don't know what that was. I'm sorry, I love Batman. I love superheroes. I've never read a comic book in my life. No, I've read like maybe 2 comic books in my life. I love superheroes. You know, not counting like manga, graphic novels. I mean, aren't they all the same? But no, they're not, apparently. Graphic novels. Just say comics. I mean, I guess graphic novels are longer than comics, but like, whatever, dude. It's all the same. It's all the same, dude. Don't get all fancy. That's not the right word, but whatever. In his airway, ravaged by the smoke and the intense heat, sent out an endless torrent of coughs and phlegm. A call came in on the monitor. I accepted the connection, and Colonel Campbell appeared on the display. A woman off screen, probably Rose, was just finishing straightening up his tie. conjugal display stirred up a flash of irritation in me. Sonny remained tirelessly at my side. His dialysis and treatment would still probably take a while longer. I asked the colonel, how's the White House responding? And the public?
The president has yet to make an official announcement, but the media is starting to pick up on it.
Between coughs, Snake added derisively? He probably thinks he can still keep information under control. Obama? He was the president in 2014, right? Yeah, because Trump was elected in 2016. Despite his dilapidated snake state, like how some people call Snake David Snavid. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if people outside of Tumblr actually do that, but like I've seen it a lot on Tumblr, so. Even in his dilapidated state, Snake's mind was still sharp, and yet at times I couldn't bear to look at him anymore. To see my friend possessed of the will to fight, to see him even now attempting to fulfill his duties.
No, not this time,
Campbell said.
The war economy has ground to a complete halt. It's tough to downplay a crisis of these proportions. War economy-related stocks are already going into a freefall.
Snake laughed. To think that the extinction of war was a crisis. He said, they must be shitting themselves at the White House right now.
In any case,
said the colonel,
the people of the world had better sleep soundly while they still can. Liquid's insurrection is about to begin.
Indeed, Liquid's control over the system had created the calm that fell over the world. The PMCs weren't the only forces controlled by nanomachines and ID tags. The U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps were also crippled. America's entire armed forces were at the mercy of the system. Liquid would become known in the history books as the man who simultaneously brought peace to the world and unleashed global war upon it. Although I guess that would depend on someone still being around to write history books. Campbell continued,
the first thing he'll do is try to destroy the system the Patriots built to control the U.S.
I narrowed my eyes. What good would that do to him? He'd already seized the system. That was essentially the same as destroying it. When I said as much, Campbell explained,
supreme authority still resides within JD, which the Patriots still command.
Wait, there's this one video. I don't know if it was like on TikTok or whatever. It was like some of the Ben 10 voice actors. It's like, I guess two of the actors who voiced Ben 10, like the character Ben 10 arguing, and Paul Eiding's also there because he voiced the Grandpa 10. That's not his name, but that's what I call him. It's so funny. I don't know. I saw it on Tumblr. I don't know where it was originally posted, but yeah. I would say follow me on Tumblr, but I'm actually taking a break from like Tumblr and Twitter right now because I don't know. I just wanted to. No. I saw something that made me just unnecessarily depressed, and I was like, you know what? I think it's time to take a break. It's just like so like just like I don't know, like somebody, it was like, oh my god, nothing in life matters, I'm never going to amount to anything, and I was like, okay, it's time for a break. Time for a break. Anyway. Yeah. Ben 10 voice actors. Anyway.
Supreme authority still resides with JD, which the Patriots still command.
The three remaining AIs of the Patriots, TJ, AL, and TR constantly gathered information from the global networks, taxes, family registers, births, deaths, marriages, and so on, medical data, economic indicators, biological data from nanomachines, and of course, the SOP. The computers collected exabytes of information each day and utilized them to create the proper context in the world and to construct a narrative for the human race. And by proper context, I mean the context the Patriots thought proper. There's only one race, the human race. What about NASCAR? What about NASCAR? I'm gonna munch. I'm gonna crunch. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Does anyone else still watch Vine comms? Or is it just me? Like, I never used Vine when it was still, like, active. When it exists, but now that it's, like, doesn't exist anymore. I'm like, yeah, Vine was great. Like, I refuse to ever, like, use Vine. Back when it was still, like, a thing. Like, and people were, like, actively using it. And now, it's like, yeah, Vine comms, yes. Anyway. No single core was able to handle the massive amount of data alone. The workload had to be spread out in some way, but the Patriots didn't want to give their AI a free hand. They created a central unifying core AI to make the adjustments necessary to prevent any discrepancies from arising between the three narrators. Narrators, I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know what that was. Liquid had reconstructed GW, the AI we thought we destroyed years before. Even when disabled, it had maintained a hidden connection with JD. To explain it in simpler terms, Liquid shrewdly disguised himself as GW to get into JD's family. Once he'd been accepted, he showed them Big Boss's genetic information and declared himself the rightful heir. All that was left was to kill the master of the house, JD, and then Liquid would take over. Once this was accepted by the rest of the family, no one could stop him. So far, Liquid had only seized the SOP, which controlled the soldiers and their firearms. Without higher authority, he had no access to American nukes and ballistic missiles.
Which is why,
said Campbell, his face grave,
Liquid plans to launch a nuclear strike on JD in orbit.
We had overheard that bit of information thanks to the stowaway Mike 2 on Liquid's patrol boat. Liquid had discovered JD's location, outer space. Time to go to space, like in Xenoblade, baby. I'm kidding. Imagine I just ran around in space, like in Xenoblade, at like the end of Xenoblade. Why do I keep bringing up Xenoblade? Like every video, it's like, oh yes, Xenoblade. Have you played Xenoblade? No, seriously, play Xenoblade. It's so good. It's so long though. It's so long. I mean, if you like Metal Gear, it's got really long cutscenes. It's got Xenoblade actually has more cutscenes than Metal Gear Solid 4. Like, it's got like 10 hours of cutscenes, and Metal Gear Solid 4 has like 8. So, you know, it's also longer, I believe. I don't know. It took me like, it's a very long game. It's like 300 hours, I think. Like, you know, I think my playtime was actually like 240 something. But still, it's so long, but it's so good. Anyway, you know, we get this freaking definitive edition. Even though I keep spoiling stuff for no reason. Anyway, the Patriots' core AI quietly floated through the cold void with a cloud of space junk, hidden among the countless fragments and metal husks of abandoned Cold War-era satellites. I don't think I could think of a better refuge for the Patriots. After all, they were born out of the Cold War. Amid the drifting refuse of the past, the satellite looked down, godlike, upon the tiny wriggling humans below. Liquid had announced his intention to use Vex. They were going to take Vex and use its nuclear missile launcher to destroy JD. With the destruction of the control AI, the Master Authority would transfer to the system, just like the order of succession in the event of a presidential assassination. The system itself was created upon the foundation of the S3 program tested on Big Shell, which was controlled by none other than GW. If Liquid's attack were to succeed, GW's priority within the AIs would rise to 1. The only obstacle was the nuclear warhead needed for his plan. Nuclear warheads weren't under control of the SOP. The Patriots hadn't allowed that and remained fully within JD's grasp. It wouldn't matter if he had Vex if he couldn't operate it. That was when I remembered. "Oh," I said. "What?" Snake asked. Vex was scrapped before the Sons of the Patriot system was implemented. "Of course, the railgun." Metal Gear Vex was outfitted with a shoulder-mounted railgun that could fire nuclear warheads undetectable by radar. When I headed up Vex's construction, I had been led to believe that the railgun was designed to intercept nukes, not deploy them.
Indeed,
Said Campbell.
Vex's railgun can launch a stealth nuclear warhead into space unconstrained by the system. In short, it's the only device that they have that is able to launch a nuke. Liquid's going to use it to kill JD and deliver the coup de grace to the Patriots. Just varying. The Patriots is...
Politics is... 9 years ago, I created the Metal Gear class mobile nuclear launcher. Told by AT Core that it was a corp because there's not an S on the end. It doesn't make any sense. English is a stupid language. But whatever. Is that English, or is it like a loan word? A loan word, like fiance. I left AT Corp that it was a defensive weapon. I leapt at the opportunity to create a two-legged robot like the ones I'd seen in anime. And Xenoblade! Just kidding, that wasn't out at the time. Xenoblade came out in like 2010, I think. But it does have big old robot. No, I genuinely think Hal would like Xenoblade. Yeah. And like Xenogears and Xenosaga, probably. I don't know if they got robots or not, because I've never played them. But, no. Xenosaga has lots of robots. I don't know about big old robots. But it's got robots. Like, is the robot lady with the big boobs and purple hair. Cosmos? Or is it Cosmos? I don't know. I always called it Cosmos. But it might be Cosmos. I don't know. Anyway, I'd never questioned my bosses. On Channel Moses, Liquid described it to Snake as the demon weapon that will drag the world into the 21st century. But now the robot was about to change our 21st century into something entirely new. I asked Campbell, "Where's Rex now?" He lifted his shoulders and looked at me as if it should be obvious.
I think you know. A long-forgotten base in U.S. territory outside the Patriots' control. The place where Liquid made his debut. The place that serves as a monument to him, off the Alaskan coast, in the Fikes Archipelago.
Archipelago? How do you pronounce that? Archipelago? Archipelago? I don't know. Snake spoke first.
Shadow Moses Island.
Where Snake and Liquid's battle began. Their ground zero.
If Liquid destroys JD...
I mean, you could have just said...
This is still where it was.
9 years ago. Nobody ever bothered moving it. It's so funny. Like, nobody bothered to move it. It just, like, didn't bother moving it. It was like, yeah, whatever. Just stay there.
If Liquid destroys JD, Campbell learned, and his GW assumes total control of the system, he'll have the world groveling at his feet, and no one will be able to stop him, not even the Patriots.
I looked at Snake. His face, as I had expected, showed no emotion. He already knew what he had to do. I turned away. Hadn't he done everything he could? I hated myself for being unable to do anything more for my friend, this old man who would have to face his own life in 3 months. Campbell said,
You're the only one who can save the world now, Snake. I'm counting on you.
I hated him for saying that. The world. When had Snake ever asked to be responsible for the entire world? My friend, my best friend, would be dead soon enough. Couldn't you let him be? Campbell cut the transmission. Snake stood and tottered over to Ryden's medical station at the side of the cargo bay. The cyborg was covered with cables hooked to monitoring devices and tubes filled with white liquid woven in and out of his body. Thanks to QR codes, Dr. Madnar had quickly been able to locate the access shunt to the bloodway that substituted for his arteries and veins. I'm sorry. Xenoblade, play Xenoblade.
It's subliminal messaging.
Play Xenoblade.
Play Xenoblade, please.
Please, I'm begging you, play Xenoblade. It's so good. So good. So good. A computer hooked up to a bioscanner could read the tags covering Ryden's exoskeleton and display any relevant information for each part. Its capabilities, related components, the manufacturer, the production date, even URLs for online help pages. Just as nanomachines filled soldiers' bodies and constantly monitored data about their health, labels covered Ryden's artificial body and contained data about its manufacturer. Sunny was thankful for the tags. In fact, they might very well have saved Ryden's life. If she needed to look up each and every part, he might not have survived. Still, something about the shroud of wireless ID tags felt Snake the wrong way. Sunny must have thought Snake had come to take Ryden because she turned to him and said, No! Jack can't go! He's not ready yet! Then Ryden spoke. Let me go, Sunny. He slowly lifted his arm. The movement was sluggish. He clearly hadn't yet recovered. His voice wasn't even his own, but that of a speaking device in his throat. No! Sunny said sternly. Your dialysis isn't done yet! I'll be fine. Ryden was strapped to the medical bed by several data cables. As much as he tried to move, the cords held him in place. The sight made me think of Gulliver captured by the Lilliputians. Except Ryden had been so weakened, I couldn't imagine he had the strength to snap free from his binds. When told he wasn't ready yet, Ryden looked straight into my eyes. I shrank back, overpowered by the force of his gaze. From now on, Ryden said, I'm living my life by my own will, not a proxy life, as a slave to someone else's scenario. Snake stared at Ryden, remembering what the young man had said in Manhattan, how Solidus killed his parents and turned him into a child soldier, and how he'd fled from that nightmare to America, where the Patriots, as part of the S3 project, used him as a pawn and manipulated him into becoming another Snake. None other than Solid Snake himself freed Ryden from that life. Only after he met Snake did Ryden begin to walk his own path. So Snake felt responsibility for meddling in another's life and skewing its direction. He let out a sigh, quiet but heavy with his thoughts.
I'm a shadow,
He said.
one that no light will shine upon. As long as you follow me, you'll never see the light of day.
Why are you so dramatic, David?
It's like, baby.
I don't know what that was, but he's so dramatic. Like, just, can you be normal for 5 seconds, please? Perhaps Snake felt responsible for Meryl too, and I didn't want to think about it, but maybe he even did for me. Maybe my friend had always carried a sense of guilt. These young people who look up to me. Can I even begin to tell myself that their lives are blessed for it? If I'm the legendary the song from Wind Waker? The legendary hero? Anyway, wouldn't the legend be of bringing nothing but misfortune upon others? Those feelings were a part of why he now fought for an ending. Raiden spoke more to himself than his response to Snake's words. You and I are both just pawns in this proxy war, but once this is over, we will have our freedom. I'll be at least you. It's the only way I'll ever be free.
Raiden,
Snake said firmly.
what I said 5 years ago, that's not what I meant.
I've got nothing to lose. I shook my head. He said he had nothing to lose, and yet he still clung to something. Maybe to the fight itself. The sight was too painful to watch. His near obsession must have tortured Snake, who leveled stern eyes at him and remonstrated.
Don't be an idiot. You know you've still got someone to protect.
Snake, he said, putting on a smile so awkward he looked like he was choking on it. I'm the rain. The light of day holds nothing for me.
You've got it all wrong,
Snake said. He was still young. He should have had the strength to... He should have still had the strength to bring light somewhere. Snake put his hand on Raiden's shoulder.
You're the lightning. You can still shine through the darkness.
That it even made the day I was born. Because it always makes me laugh because I was reading this one book. I forget what it was. It might have been The Bite of the Mango, which is super depressing, by the way. But like, I don't know, it was a good book. But yeah. Anyway, I was reading a book and it was about like a girl in Africa, like an African girl, and she was like, yeah, I mean the day I was born, but and that's good luck, and she was like, yeah, it was considered good luck, and it's like it even made the day I was born. Like anyway, the lightning.
Raiden, look at me.
Suddenly, Snake ripped the bandage from his left cheek and revealed the scorched skin beneath.
Do you see this? I have no future. In a few months, I'm gonna be a weapon of mass destruction.
Raiden looked into the face of the ragged old soldier, skin battered and burned and peeling off. This close, his flesh gave off a distinct, unpleasant odor. The stench of old age, perhaps. Stop it, Reno! Are you sure it's not just the, burnt flesh? Heavy, sagging eyelids crushed the spirit from eyes that had been so astute and fearless when they first met on the big shell. This was the face of a man with no future, an old man held up solely by a longing for the closure only atonement could bring. Snake wasn't fighting for the future. He wasn't fighting to hold on to something. Snake fought for what he had already lost. This was the face of the man who had nothing left to lose. But Raiden still had a woman who cared for him. He had something to hold on to, a place to come home to.
You have a family,
Snake said. Raiden's eyes flew open. I have no family.
Are you sure about that?
With his outburst, the medical observation system sounded a warning in unison. Raiden's heightened exoskeletal body began to convulse. I dashed to his bedside, and Sunny wrapped her small arms around him, holding him down, while Snake shook his head with finality. Again, Raiden shouted, I have no one! His wounds were already life-threatening. If it continued, Raiden's agitated state could prove fatal. Sunny worked the infusion foam to temporarily increase the flow of painkillers. Then Raiden spoke. Not with the artificial sound from his throat, but with his own mouth. He said, I have always been alone. As his chin moved, the oxygen mask, only loosely held in place, slipped to the floor. Teardrops fanned from his white eyes down his cheeks and onto the bed. And then the drugs pulled his consciousness back into an opiate haze. A opiate haze. I don't know what that was. His unsteady breaths regained a steady rhythm, and his eyelids grew heavy and shrouded his eyes. You could just say closed, dude. I let out a relieved sigh, and my tense back muscles returned to normal. Softly, Snake spoke Raiden's name. The man whom Snake, albeit unintentionally, had torn from a better and rightful life to further his own cause. Just as he fell into sleep, Raiden squeezed out the raspy words, "Don't leave me here alone." Snake got on one knee, drew close to Raiden's ear, and gently whispered to the unconscious man,
This is my fight. My destiny.
Snake, you know it's my destiny. Snake's words seemed as much directed at himself, reaffirming, "This fight isn't Raiden's, it's not Meryl's. You don't have to get hurt." Snake stood, removed the bandages covering his injured body, and retrieved his equipment and maintenance tools from the storage area at the rear of the bay. Just as I decided to help him, he began to cough violently. The noise was terrible and sickening, like the depths of his lungs were convulsing. I ran over and went to pat his back, but he shook off my hand and put Naomi's auto-injector to his neck. Its contents had mostly calmed him down, but clearly the drug's effectiveness was diminishing. I couldn't take it anymore. The emotions I'd suppressed through Campbell's call came out all at once. "Snake, stop," I said. "You can't handle any more of this. Your body can't take any more of the Monado." Getting short-sighted, Dixon. Somebody called Dixon Anime Solid Snake, and it's haunted me ever since. Look up Dixon from Xenoblade. He looks like Hulk Hogan. He looks like anime Hulk Hogan. But, yeah, somebody called Definitive Edition Dixon Anime Solid Snake, and it's been haunting me ever since. He put his hand to the wall and tried to steady his breathing.
I'm not dying right this moment.
"That's not what I mean. You can't beat Liquid. He's got the Patriots' own control system on his side. Not only are weapons useless, but the U.S. military's in shambles. And even if it weren't, Liquid's has the men and the machines to match it. All else aside, our opponent controlled 60% of the global military might. But now any forces that would stand against him were frozen as if by magic. So why did this man alone have to fight? Things can't get any worse, Snake. Face it, we've lost," I said. "We never stood a chance." I let my emotions vent, and Snake just looked at me. He never appreciated becoming the subject of concern. Although he might have jokingly complained at times, he always dealt with everything himself. Snake, of all people, knew he couldn't fight this by himself. At Shadow Moses and the Big Shell, he learned that there were situations in this world he couldn't make it through alone. That was all the more reason for him to fear others getting hurt on his behalf, even when the battles had been too much for him alone. As long as he could make any of the responsibility his own, Snake always carried the guilt. Having seen the crossing of Snake's and Raiden's lives, I don't think I ever found Snake's tragic sense of responsibility so painful as with Raiden, who had come to embrace battle. Snake, eyes still at the wall, put his hand on my shoulder.
It's not about winning or losing,
He said,
we started this, and it's our duty to finish it.
Then, having nothing left to say, he returned to his equipment check. As I helped him prepare for combat, I quietly cried. I'd known that would be his response. I'd known I couldn't stop him no matter how hard I tried. I think Snake noticed I was crying, but he didn't speak. The two of us worked together in silence. With the fate of the world and that of humanity at stake, I prayed for one single thing. For the noble soul of my friend, who continued to fight despite a body covered with injuries to find peace. If you like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Actually, I might be streaming on Twitch later, because I was streaming yesterday, and turns out, you could not hear me at all, like, the entire time. So, yeah. Might be streaming around, like, 3-ish. I'll put the link in the description if you're interested. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!